Hello, everyone, and welcome to this installment of Capsule Cast for the Week 14 Dragon Ball Z League season. I am your host, Macho, and with me today is my co-host, Destiny.
Hello.
Say hello, Destiny. Yes. So we have just some matches to go through, going into predictions, and as we look towards playoffs.
Actually, as we look towards the final week and then playoffs.
Oh yeah, but it doesn't hurt to speculate of how we view playoffs will go, or not go, but how it will look
Well,
before the week.
yeah, they probably won't see us until after playoffs start. So yeah, we can do.
Yeah.
So
Well, anyway, you ready to move on to match one?
yeah.
Okay, so match one was between Kaiju and Royals, and this was one heck of a match because it looked like it was one way for a while, and then it became the exact opposite way due to some nice tags. So starting for Kaiju was Bardock, and he goes against King Cold. Bardock does really well against King Cold, only takes like a bar of damage before King Cold tags. Then comes in Deborah, who's usually is Royal's ace, who also struggles against Bardock and actually gets taken down by Bardock. And then in comes Bobbity. Bobbity's able to finish Bardock, which then comes Murktau for Kaiju. Murktau does do well against Bobbity until Bobbity tags, and then comes Metacooler. And this is where actually the match starts to shift because Kaiju has a pretty substantial lead. Metacooler starts taking it to Tao, and once Tao goes down, then Scouter comes in, tries to finish Metacooler off, but Metacooler tags, so now you got 3 tags for Royals. And now you got King Cold coming back in with only 2 bars of life for Vegeta, and gets taken out by King Cold, and King Cold also takes out the rest of Murktau who tagged. So now it's just Bobbity and Metacooler versus Slug, and and Slug. And Slug ended up losing that match, and it ended up being Victory Royals. So, what do you think about the match, Destiny?
Okay. I think it actually was a really good match to start the week off. Because well, I guess if you're Kaiju, it wasn't because you're in contention for the bye week still. And you're against a team that's already confirmed bye week, already confirmed playoffs. Even though, you're already confirmed playoffs. But, Bardock did really well here. I think it was more off of both Royals' tags, but also Scouter not really doing that well. And Murktau not really having the performance he has had this season, which is, really good. Not saying he's still bad. Definitely did probably either the third best or second best for his team.
He was second best. Well, it was actually because it was Scouter and Slug, because they both had 20,000. Murktau had 50,000, and
oh yeah. I guess it feels more like Murktau was not doing that great because he was in the middle of everything.
Yeah, no, Bobbity and Murktau did well against Bobbity and did some damage. It was mostly just Slug dropping the ball against the last 2 bars of the 2 characters, and Scouter Vegeta dropping the ball against King Cold.
He also, Slug also just didn't really want to transform, which is unusual for him. Because he kept using his Blastox, I think either for B1s or just kept kept going into max power mode. He just did not want to transform. And we all know how devastating Big Slug's B2s, especially since he's on a build where he charges really fast and he always has Indignation, so they at least do a bar or more. So he definitely could have brought this back for Kaiju at the very end. I think the biggest letdown here was Scouter, though.
Yeah, Scouter's been wildly inconsistent this season for Kaiju. He's looked very strong in some matches, and some matches he's done this. So,
but to go on Royals, to come back after such a big lead against you, it does feel really nice. All the tags really helped. Bobbity has been really great this season, and I think he went for 3 ults this match.
Yeah, and also they did it without Dabura and Majin Vegeta that comeback because Dabura got
Yeah,
taken out early and Majin Vegeta was out for the week.
yeah. Macho Vegeta hasn't been like the greatest in terms of stats this year, but you still Majin GG to most people, and
Yeah,
Dabura has been like most of the time a top 3 character, if not top 1. And I know a lot of people thought after Dabura got taken out, this match basically over. But no.
yep, definitely not.
And especially
So,
since like Bobby and Meta have Savior, they keep playing the tag game.
so what do you think about these teams? So they went didn't Kaiju spent a lot on it for their divisional because they want to have that lead for them. What do you? But they weren't fighting for playoffs. So Destiny, what do you think on these teams and how they look going into the playoffs?
I know. Okay, I want to speak Royals first because that's probably the easiest for me to explain right now. Royals seem extremely strong. They don't really seem to have a weak point. I guess like their main weak point could be like who's going to be the starter, but we've seen King Cold start. We've seen Bobbity start. We've seen Dabura start in Tater Team.
Yeah.
It's just more.
Yeah.
Can they keep up the consistency they had for most of the season in playoffs?
Yeah. If you look at their team stats, it's actually crazy. They don't have a single character on their roster that averages below 40,000. That's actually absurd.
They used to because of the constant cleanups from Macho Vegeta, but he's started to raise his average.
Yeah, I think Majin Vegeta has been pretty scary still this season. He just like you said, he has been cleaning up a lot of matches.
Yeah. For Kaiju, they have a solid core right now with Bardock, Kid Q, and Merc, but Slug and Vegeta, they haven't really been performing too well as of late, and at least maybe more Slug than Vegeta, but the Giant, they seem to really be reliant on going that Giant transformation.
Yeah, for Slug.
I would say at this point it's too late to unbench Nappa because he spent like basically the entire season on the FA bench, and there's absolutely like no time to make sure that he's workable before playoffs. Not saying they might not try something, but I'd say Kaiju's in a lot more of a rough spot, and to be honest, it's probably bad if they get the bye week because it means they won't be doing previous matches as a 5-man. Yeah, you have the risk of being eliminated earlier, but sometimes having that knowledge of what your team works as a 5-man is better than spending a week without it and then immediately losing.
Yep. Yeah. And with that, going into next week, Royals have already secured their bye, so they're gonna be looking to playoffs. I think they even secured the top seed, right? Yeah, they definitely did.
Yeah, no one can contest number 1 from.
Yeah, and Kaiju is still on a pretty heated race for their bye week versus Rugrats, so it'll be interesting to see how they progress in the next week. You ready to move on? All right, so the next match was between Rugrats and RW, and going into the match, Rugrats was fighting for a bye week, and for a while they were fighting for a playoff spot, but they've had a hell of a run these past few weeks. Versus RW, who have actually put in Aider, and they've said that this week was more of a testing week for them since they were already guaranteed to be out of the playoffs. So just seeing what would work. Starting out for both teams was Cell Jr. and Vegeta. Vegeta takes the pretty early lead versus Cell Jr. Cell Jr. has been pretty inconsistent. He has had some good weeks, but this week was pretty not good from him.
But by the way, no, this week was the one that guaranteed out of playoffs. They still had a shot.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. They still
I thought Ryan said it was last week that those 4 were out.
No. It was this week. week 14 because a team later won, and there's like if they there's two teams that if they won for week 15, they'd be tied against that one team.
Oh yeah, I see. It was Resurrected Warriors and Budokai
There
who
there are
were
there are two other
fighting.
teams that were basically out by this week.
Yeah, Namek and Androids. All right, yep, makes sense.
But anyway,
All right.
keep on.
Then comes in Goten, and Goten hits a Bros, which is Vegeta says nope to. So he's like he tags out after that. In comes an Aider, the first time we've seen Aider in a while.
This entire season, actually.
I think it's been the first time in 2 seasons. That's why I mean it's been a while.
Well, yeah,
Since
but
we've seen
I
Aider.
definitely know the first time this season.
Yeah. Then Goten transforms into Gotenks and starts taking it to Aider pretty hard. And then 18 comes in for RW and also does nothing against Gotenks. So that's 2 characters that pretty much have done nothing against Gotenks. Then comes in Roshi. Maybe Roshi did quite a bit better towards the end of his health bar. And even got a tag off to end Vegeta to finish off Gotenks. But by that point, you have half a bar of end Vegeta left, and then you have a bar Roshi with a Oob coming in, and Oob just finishes it off. So a pretty dominant win for Rugrats. Destiny, what's your thoughts?
Well, first off, holy shit, motherfucking Goten and Gotenks, Jesus Christ. Like, that's exactly the performance that Rugrats wants when they want to do Gotenks for the week. Is one of the fusees does well beforehand, and then after they fuse, Gotenks keeps doing well. And the funniest thing is, he wasn't really in like Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 3 until he was near death, which is
Yeah, and he wasn't even good when he did that. He was just killing it on base.
yeah, because honestly, base is probably one of his best forms. I think because of like primarily his B1s and his B2 usage, but like, holy hell! And the thing is, what's funny too is so everyone knows how fusion works in this game. It basically combines the 2 health bars, and you can kind of tell, like, if the fusion partner isn't out, has full health, you can kind of tell when like the previous partner's health is gone, and when another partner's health is coming in. Right? All of Gotenks' like good performance was while he was still really high health, so it was basically still all of Goten's health.
Yep. I think he had 5 bars when he took out 18.
Yeah, and then after he lost basically the rest of Goten's health and got into Trunks' health, he started really falling off. But I mean, at that point, it was mostly damage done. And it's not like, it was not like Aurelia didn't do that bad. I completely botched this, by the way. Cell Jr. should not be in here. Or wait, no, it shouldn't be Aurelia.
No, Aurelia's out.
Yeah, it shouldn't be Aurelia. Never mind. But what is it? I'm not knocking like everything away from RW. Like, yeah, you tried the Aider. Honestly, probably the best thing you can do at this point, if like you think you're gonna lose to Rugrats, and you don't really feel confident about your playoff chances, just try to test some things while you're while you're still able to, right? So that's probably definitely why the Aider. I know I heard after the thing ended and then the watch party, the coach actually did a new build for Vegeta and basically put him on Fosh's build that she's been running, like, I think all season.
Oh,
you could
that's cool.
You could fact check me on. I know what Fosh's build has been. I don't know what Vegeta's build was.
Yeah, I didn't see. I just knew that all their characters were running newish builds.
Yeah,
That's that match.
I will admit, RW has been doing something this season, and it's making me believe more in the Yajirobe and the Roshi. Because Roshi's actually been one of their better members.
Yeah, but they're all. He always has this. I think I said it last cast. He always struggles against melee fighters,
Oh yeah.
and but he looked pretty decent this match.
Yeah.
I want to feed this information to you. Rugrats have won 7 of their last 10 matches because they started off the season 0-3, and then they became 1-4. So, what do you think about that information and how Rugrats has improved to not only making the playoffs but also fighting for their bye week in their division?
Could you repeat the last part of that question, please?
I said, what do you think about Rugrats not only making it to playoffs when it seemed unlikely in the beginning of the season, but also that they're fighting for the division's bye week?
Honestly, considering how earlier this season it looked really bad for them, like, they'll, like, the best character on their team was still Rayleigh, which, you know, you think would be the best. But their second best character was basically Cell Jr.
Well, no, it was definitely Oob. I mean, it was Oob and it wasn't close. The other 3 were struggling.
Was it? Because
Yeah.
I remember hearing from Tosh just that Oob was struggling a lot earlier.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, because Oob had like a couple 60, 70K that won the first match for them.
I think Cell Jr. was the only consistent for a while.
That's a weird. That's a statement.
That's a
Cell
sentence.
Jr. being the.
And also, I know every time they tried, a lot of the time when they tried fusion, Trunks would always come out first and either fuse and not do anything, or not fuse, and the not fuse part was more likely because Trunks doesn't like to fuse. But honestly, they've really bounced back. They like, obviously I'm not like trying to get into matches that I know I won versus them, and it wasn't like as close as you think, but like for most of their matches, I've actually been really surprised by them. Like this match, like this match we said earlier, Goten did super well. I actually think he hit that bros, by the way. I don't think he missed.
No, yeah, he hit it. So yeah, that bros was huge.
Yeah, and then he still did some damage, and then immediately fused. And it's like, holy fuck, where has this been the entire season? You're thinking like, but no, we're just really, really good on Rugrats. Pretty sure they were like 04, 05 at like a certain point of the season, and now to just see them technically at a positive record, and they're going to remain at a positive record because win or lose, they still have 8 wins over their losses.
Yeah. And RW is kind of the different side of the coin. They're not making playoffs after this match, but they are trying new things. Like you said, definitely better. We've seen from Roshi, a season we've seen from Roshi. Yaj was decent, just a little inconsistent. 18 kind of falling off a cliff after All Stars was pretty surprising for them. So,
yeah, she kind of was basically like she was kind of basically like a mountain. It's like, she didn't start off well, then she started climbing that mountain, hit a peak around when All Stars hit, and then immediately fell off that mountain.
Yeah.
And then
you ready?
Majub,
Oh, sorry, continue.
And I mean, Majub hasn't been doing that great, and then Vegeta has been okay. Honestly, they can just. Honestly, I just hope for the best for them. I know there's at least from what I've heard, there's potential talks about certain things happening via loans and trades that might be interesting to see next season.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
All right.
I'm ready.
With that, you're ready to move on. All right. So the next match would be match 3, and that was between Sentai and Namek. This team, what?
This was
Yeah,
also
this
our first
was
divisional of
Namek.
the year, or not year, week. First division.
Yeah, yeah, the South Kai divisionals. Um, Sentai fighting for the top spot in their division against Cinema and Derp. And Namek was eliminated from playoffs before this. First, this match was kind of a stomp, to be brutally. It was kind of just Birder and Ultimate Gohan. Birder versus Nail. Birder beats Nail and then beats King Piccolo. Then in comes Ultimate Late Piccolo to take out Birder, but then Ultimate Gohan pretty much takes all of Late Piccolo and Tambourine following, and then Jiren just had to clean up. So it wasn't. Hate to be a Debbie Downer, but there wasn't much good to take.
I did check stats, by the way, a little bit before this. So something I didn't say last match is Gotenks win elite, obviously. This match, Birder actually won.
Oh, really? It was an elite?
Yeah, 107,000. So
wow.
he didn't like squeak in, but he didn't like barely squeak in, but it was still a good performance from Birder, who's definitely been on a high road ever since he got those buffs.
Yeah, it's a tough match for Namek though. There isn't much good you can come from that. Your team kind of just struggled against two characters. But for Namek as a whole, the entire team has been kind of very inconsistent. Like Late Piccolo has even struggled in some matches, but Nuova, you don't know what he's going to do in a week. He wasn't even in this week. Nail, you don't know what's going to happen with him. King Piccolo started out good. He's started to struggle.
Tambourine's like the only one where you can say, like, yeah, Tamburine's been struggling, but he hasn't been really changed. Tamburine's like the only one you can say has been consistent in his his build and stuff, but he's still been struggling.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that was a tough week for Namek.
We did see something rare happen this. Because Sentai changed the map to the multiverse tournament, which is big giant open map. We saw a full Hellzone grenade.
Yeah, it was a full Hellzone in all of its glory.
Sadly, was not enough to sway the match, because I mean, at that point, it was like maybe like a bar of someone else plus Late Piccolo versus like the rest of Ultimate Gohan, all of Zingaya, and Jiren as well. It was cool.
Yeah, but even yeah, but it was tough. Well, because it was also Jiren, right? So like Sentai ended up winning this match by 8 bars or 2 characters, pretty much full characters.
Yeah, like all Jiren, like they kind of ruined Jiren's stats, yes. So they got kind of the moral victory, because I think it was already known that Namek was going to be out of playoffs no matter what, because of just their record in general.
Yeah.
And Sentai needed this win to stay ahead of the other two teams, because contrary to what you would think, Sentai lost their divisional against the other two teams.
Yeah, but now Sentai is ahead of the division, and it's theirs to lose.
I think, yeah, no, they might be ahead, or they're tied with Derp. I don't know.
I'm looking at the standings right now. They are ahead.
Okay, so yeah, they still need that. They still need that win, or if they lose, Derp gets the bye.
I mean, Derp needs to win. They can still lose and Derp not win, and they can still get the bye.
Yeah. Really, this match, as you said, was basically just all of Namek versus like 2 characters. Honestly, I would even say all of Namek versus 1 character. Because Birder stayed out there for a fucking long time.
Yeah, but it was also Ultimate Gohan also did at least 60k in this match, so it was a stomp.
Yeah, but like most of the time, you'd think it would have just been 1 character with how much Birder stayed alive.
Yeah.
I mean, we already kind of talked about what Sentai's chances are making playoffs, or not making playoffs, but the bye week.
Yeah. So I'll leave this last note. What do you think about the Sentai's roster going into playoffs?
They have 3 core members, and say a woman.
Fair.
They don't have a 5th character.
They are a really good 3 core members though.
I mean, say a woman has been improving recently too.
Yeah, that is true. Had a decent performance versus us the week before, so.
I know it's definitely my bias for this one showing, but but like in all actuality, I think they actually do have a good shot. I just think compared to some other teams, they have more holes in their lineup that is basically only covered up by the fact that they have so much either burst damage or survivability.
Yeah, but they are top heavy, but their top is probably the heaviest in the league. Like they probably have the best 3 characters in the league on their team. So
like,
not like
I'd say as a core probably, because you have a fast melee character that's really disruptful in melee. You have a really burst heavy melee character that can also beat 2's heart out, and then you have Jiren.
Yeah, so very strong team.
It's just with them, like their top is really heavy, but I think their bottom is also really heavy that you can exploit. Because if one of those 3 characters doesn't perform, primarily the Alt Han and G performance, it does tend to start to lack. Because Burger could have a great performance, or like Jiren could have a good performance, Alt Han could have a good performance, but if one of those 3 characters start lacking, or 2 of them, since we're in playoffs, that's going to really bite them in the butt.
Yep. Are you ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to match 4. It was between Muscle and Budokai. Fighting for actually a big match for playoff position, because going into this match, these teams were tied, I believe, in record.
Yep.
And so this was a huge match for playoff implications. Starting out for Muscle was Trunks versus Nam and Budokai. This was kind of a match that reminded you that Super Saiyan Trunks is a character that does a lot of damage, and he proceeded to do that
should be figured.
Yeah, so he proceeded to do that against Nam and GT Goku. Didn't give him much of a chance to fight back. GT Goku did end up tagging, but damage was already done. Muscle starting off with a huge lead. Then comes early Goku for Budokai. Finishes off Trunks, but then gets hit by 13, and 13 did 13 things and kind of dominated early Goku. But then comes Goku, and this is where we found some fight back from Budokai, but then 13 still took him out. So yeah, 13 looked really scary.
Yeah. I'm just not gonna beat around the bush. Like this match basically was like really the main theme of this week is like a team did really well early, and then another one, and then a character on the opposing team really tried to like take it back, but just couldn't reach that final bar.
Yeah.
But at this point, considering like the rest of Muscle they had to go against.
Yeah, Muscle won with 7 bars after this match.
Yeah, like considering the rest of Muscle they had to go against, like it's a pretty high ladder to climb. And I know you see the base bully there. Like he's been actually really good this season. I wouldn't say phenomenal.
Yeah, he's still probably been their second weakest character behind Bojack, but yeah, he's been pretty solid.
Well, that's also probably because he wasn't in the first 5 weeks.
That too.
He wasn't in a third of the season. But
yeah,
like this is a really good bounce back from Trunks. I know he was struggling earlier this year. 13, this is really good because he's also been kind of struggling in some weeks. And I mean, probably one of their more consistent members. Like he was off the bench, or not off the bench. He was on the bench.
Yeah, Macroom's probably been their second best character, and so it was just a strong showing from Muscle.
And as we said earlier, this match was basically who gets basically the last place in the playoff pick.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a tough luck for Budokai.
Yeah, because with this match, if RW and Budokai even both win next week, they would be still tied with Muscle. If Muscle even lost. So that means, and Muscle has a tiebreaker over both of them.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I guess, speaking of that, considering we've been saying it every match, what do you think of Muscle's team for the playoffs?
They called me crazy when Muscle was struggling, and I said Muscle going 7-8. Now who's laughing? They're 1 win away. They're 7-8 and winning the bowl. You can go see it's in the chat. It's in previous Capsule cast. It's there, man.
I know we've talked about it too, but hey, call me crazy. Well, you might be on another conspiracy.
Yeah, well, I think a part of me thinks that Muscle will win it all, and they've really turned a corner as a roster. I guess base probably was distance difference because like Bojack's inconsistent. He's probably their only one because Broly's performed decently ever since he's been in. He hasn't been like shattering records, but he's done his man.
For base form Broly, it's better.
Yeah, but it's ultimately just like 35, 40K.
Yeah.
But the rest of their roster has been like phenomenal ever since their 0-5 start. Especially Raccoon. I think Raccoon has probably been the unsung hero of Muscle. Really has shown his stuff this season, and also because he was so good at Sentai last year.
He was like top 3 character last year, actually. But yeah, I'd say Raccoon has been the most consistent member for them, while Trunks and 13 have been obviously the characters that get the highest highs, but sometimes the lowest lows. Because Muscle has definitely lost weeks because 13 didn't perform.
Yeah. But yeah, they look really strong roster-wise and just conspiracy-wise, so they have that edge for them.
Yeah, it definitely will be scary that if Muscle gets really far in the playoffs, because considering how normally what happens in playoffs for them, I don't think a ton of people would be happy. But that's for later.
Yeah, I'll end it off with some closing remarks on Budokai. There was a lot of testing going on this year, and definitely the earlier tests that we saw in the off season didn't pan out. So they kind of had to land on their feet and try to find some stuff. And it's looked like they found a few things. Definitely, Engoku is a revelation for them as a decent character. But yeah, I hope they continue testing on the offseason because there is a lot of potential on this roster. Definitely more than most Budokai rosters because we're stuck with Dragon Ball characters. But
yeah, and like I mean, they have JT Goku now, which isn't like is a kid, but it doesn't really have like the kid restrictions, other than the fact he can't transform into Super Saiyan 4. Early has been kind of on and off, and I mean this is the first season with HJ3 Goku like startings. There's obviously still more work you could probably do
there. Yeah. With that, you ready to move on?
Yep.
All right. Match 5 was indeed my match. Woo! It was me versus GT, and this had actually a lot of implications for both teams. We weren't fighting for playoffs, but both of us were fighting for a bye week.
No, GT was not.
No, GT was not fighting for a bye week, right? Were. Yeah, I was. It was important to me. But I figured they was because apparently they used 8 Zenny against us, so maybe they thought it was a for the bye week. But this match was interesting for both teams just because both of us have been struggling since the All-Star break. I think we've lost, went 3 and 5, I think, and GT I think was 7. I think they've been 7 wins for a while now.
They've been on like a 5 to 6 game loss streak.
Yeah,
Actually, they've been on 5 because I remember they had two losses for All Stars.
Yeah, so it's been a kind of surreal skid for GT after we sung their praises recently. Um, but going into the match, it was Krillin versus Baby. GT was really experimenting because you could tell because Baby was running Ultra Divine Water, something we have not seen
I thought he was
before.
running Demonic Bargain.
Oh, a Demonic Mark, excuse me. We haven't seen that before though.
Not on Baby, no.
No. But did not work well against Krillin. Krillin said, "Oh, you have less health. That's fine for me." Um, Krillin ends up taking him out, and then Super 17 tags in, and a character who has really struggled this later season. One of their main Baby's been one of their struggling characters, but so has Super 17. He looked really good in the beginning of the season, but he's kind of fell off a cliff. It happened this match too. Krillin almost took him out until Super 17 finally took Krillin out, but by that time it was too late.
Super 17 wasn't. I thought Super 17 was dead.
No, he took out Krillin, but then Tien cleaned up. But he was like barely alive. Like it was barely. Then Tien takes Super 17 out. Then it's Tien versus Sin. They go pretty even until Cell comes in and then finally takes out Tien. But Sin did tag out with 2 bars, so that was a good tag. Maybe mounting a comeback, which almost did happen because Herc came in. Herc actually had a solid week versus Cell and Sin, but they kept tagging, so the impact wasn't felt as much. And then Midku came in and almost blew the match, so that made me happy.
Like, you can never count Cell out because of all his healing.
Yeah. So yeah, it ultimately was a lot closer match than it should have been with Krillin stomping the first 2 characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going into ED a little. Right now we're fighting Buu Saga. We have the tiebreaker, but yeah, so it's in our destiny to.
If you lose and Buu Saga win, they get the bye, which is the only way Buu Saga can get the bye.
Correct. Yeah, but we've been really struggling post All-Star break, and our biggest culprit has been Mid Goku. Mid Goku was literally like a 62. He was a 62K average before All-Star break, and now he's 46.
Before All-Star, he was like a top 50 character.
Yeah, he was. And like a couple weeks before that, he was the best character in the league. He had the highest damage. So he went from that, and now he's averaging 46,000. So that tells you how awful he's been for the past, 5-6 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty brutal from him. He's probably our main culprit of why we've been on this skid. Looking for.
I know Hercule has had it on and off.
Has had what?
He's had on and off days.
Oh yeah, that too. But it's ultimately is mostly Miku that this skid even happened. But Krillin and Mid Vegeta have been performing, so we'll see how they progress.
Real quick before we get into I can talk about playoffs and I want to say I always believe in the conspiracy of I fucking don't like fighting short characters with my really tall characters, and I think Super 17 proved that.
Yeah, that quick fast melee.
It's not just that; it's also like sometimes it feels like half of the melee of the tall character just doesn't hit because they're short.
Yeah, that's why I think Rugrats are such a strong team, and because they utilize that aspect pretty well. Because their base stat wise, it's not very impressive other than Aurelie, but they have that going for them. So yeah, the small character effect is pretty something.
But I guess since I'm gonna start with GT here. What do you how I think GT would do in playoffs, considering how everyone at this point is locked in. Honestly, I really think GT would struggle. Mostly because Super 17 Baby have been really big struggles recently. I know Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta has also been a struggle for them.
Yeah, it's basically been their entire roster besides Sin, which is a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, and that's not to say Cell hasn't been trying. Cell's been trying. It's just he's not really been getting rewarded as much as he.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a tough stretch for GT.
yeah, I think at this point they really have to like try to get something to work and stick with it if they want to have a chance. And then at least my thoughts going in your team before I let you speak on it. I think you have a really good shot if you just try to iron out whatever the fuck is wrong with Midku, and get TN consistently working. Like mid Vegeta, Hercule, and Krillin have been fantastic for you, at least from an outside's perspective.
It's definitely been it's honestly it's crazy how much the roster changes with Mid Goku's forms and loans we do and all this and FAs we get. It's our roster has literally become the same it is last season. Boiling down to is we have some okay performers and then we just have Mid Vegeta and Krillin who are really good. It seems like it's become that trend.
Yeah, but I mean, if you need two rocks, those are two rocks to rely on.
Oh yeah, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, yeah,
but
seems how it's cookie crumbles.
Yeah. So, what do you think of your playoff chances?
I was feeling a lot better about my playoff chances before the All-Star break because I thought I had a working Mid Goku, and that was a mirage, a farce. So honestly, I don't know. I'm going into this week. I don't know. I'm pretty uncertain about if I get the bye, and going past that, it's tough to. It depends on who I'm matching up with, but I'm not feeling too confident on our chances.
Yeah, well, we'll say that you are basically like. There's only like a 1 in 7 chance that you don't get the bye, which is still possible to happen, but still.
Yeah.
But move on.
All right. Next match is match 6, which was Buu Saga versus Hybrids. Starting off for Buu Saga is Spopovich running his keen, tried and true offense build, and was going up against Saiyaman for Hybrids. Spopovich actually took it pretty hard to a Saiyaman and increased the lead with Future Gohan, who has been one of Hybrid's main performers, but Spopovich was able to get some lasting damage on him before Future Gohan tagged out and then went into Teen Gohan, which was able to take out Spopovich. But by this point, Buu Saga has a pretty decent lead, and that continued with Majin Buu, who actually had a really good week spamming against Teen, who was also sort of a spammer, but was able to take out Teen Gohan before getting taken out by the cursed costume adult Gohan. Who could have easily come back in this match, but it seems like he actually kind of did. He even took out adult Gohan Buu, but then Evil Buu comes in and was able to clean up the rest of the roster. But it was actually a valiant effort from adult Gohan, but he really didn't get the support he needed from his team.
Yeah, because I mean, Teen did okay. It was really just Saiyaman and Future that kind of dropped the ball here.
I mean, in the context of this season, he did okay, but also Teen just lost to Majin Buu. He only did 30K to Majin Buu. So
yeah, most of it was really adult Gohan. I know, middle watching it, everyone was because everyone knows at this point the whole glitch fiasco that's going around with him. But at this point, with the state of the match he was in, when he started spamming those Madons, people started to believe. People thought he was actually going to do it. Just took a bit too much for what he was dealing.
Yeah. So it was actually a closer match than people thought because of him, though. Buu Saga is fighting for their divisional against us, or their bye week versus us, and Hybrids was also in contention for their bye week. So, dealer's choice, whichever team you want to talk about first, or what do you think about these teams going into playoffs and their next week?
I think Hybrids is a little bit out of the running for bye week, but there's still stuff that depends on whether or not they not. I think.
No, they're definitely out of the running now. I'm just saying, before the match happened, they were
No,
in the running.
no,
They're
no,
out
no.
of it now.
I know, but I know but I'm pretty sure there's like things that still happen if they lose or win. I don't know. I think for hybrids' chances, I actually think they really have a good chance. It's just really, I think their weak spot here isn't actually Saiyaman, as most people would think. I think it's actually T. Gohan. Considering he's been kind of very inconsistent this season, and while I get why they put him in base form, him in base form has just not been.
No, it's definitely been both of them. Sandman's been on a bunch of different builds. They haven't really found a rhythm for him yet, but yeah, like you said, Teen Gohan also.
They did recently.
No, we thought they did a while ago, but then he also struggled the week after. Like he's sitting at a 31 average, 31,000 average. He's had a lot of struggles.
Yeah. I think their main one is the team performance. Is like there's weeks that he does well, and then there's weeks that he doesn't.
Yeah, I just think it's both.
Fair. For Buu Saga, I don't think they really have like a weak point this year. Considering Swope has actually been doing really well, considering he's been kind of relegated to be almost their guaranteed, basically being their guaranteed starter if he's in. But I mean, like it's Buu Saga. They haven't changed rosters. God knows how long because of reasons we won't get into here. But it's really like what is there to even say? Because we've seen this roster in playoffs like I think at least 3 times now.
Yeah, I think they have two. I think they have two third place finishes.
They have a second place finish and a third place finish.
Oh yeah, 1 second, 1 third. So yeah, they're a very strong team.
Yeah, like it's new name but same team really.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because they have pretty, especially with a reliable Spopovich. Their only kind of weak point is Majin Buu, but he's not like a true weak character. So they have a lot. There's a lot of depth on their roster, and their base stats are super strong too.
Mm. Yeah, and like really the only like big change is they, at least recently, I don't remember if they did it last season, but they've been going for a more melee focused. They've been mostly going for a more melee focused Buu, and a more like a spam evil Buu.
Yeah. Evil Buu struggled that sometimes, but has also looked really solid on that Super 1 build. I think it is. But yeah, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
So our match 7 is between Androids and Cold. Coming in, starting for Cold is King Vegeta, new face for them ish.
He's been in the last couple.
Well, yeah, because he came in the week 11 FA period, I think. So it's a newish face for them. I think the first time we saw him was our last cast we've been on. But versus 19, pretty admirable fight from 19. And even getting the tag off when King Vegeta had a bit of a lead. And then in comes Imperfect for Androids was actually able to take out King Vegeta. So Androids did end up having or Semi-Perfect, excuse me. Semi-Perfect took out King Vegeta, and Androids actually did have some sort of a lead at this point. But then Mecha comes in and kind of wipes the floor with Cell and does a bit of damage to... Actually, no, he tags with 3 bars before Tao comes in. So, yeah, pretty big advantage after Cell kind of dropped the ball once again. Then in comes Zarbon for Cold versus Cyborg Tao. Cyborg Tao actually does do pretty well against Zarbon and goes pretty even with him. I think Zarbon tags, but Cyborg gets taken out by Mecha coming back in, who still has 3 bars.
Doesn't Zarbon hit like an immediate ult as well?
versus. Oh, I think he did versus Tao, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
he did. Yeah, so yeah, it was pretty impressive that actually Tao was able to keep up with him after getting hit by an ult. But then Mecha comes in, finishes it out off Tao, which in comes 17, who's actually had a pretty inconsistent season for androids, and those struggles continued because
Yeah.
Mecha does well against him and then tags, and then in comes Frieza, and then Frieza just kind of cleans up.
17 is like, I think one of like the three biggest people that are like really was good before All Stars, really bad after All Stars.
Yeah, I can definitely agree to that. Yeah, he's and just with him and Imperfect Cell's struggles, it's definitely wasn't just a 19 or a Ginyu problem. There's been other than maybe 16, there's been struggling across the board, and kind of Tao too. Tao has had some really weird weeks where he kind of just has popped off. But yeah, it's been a really weird season for androids. Um, but I guess androids out of the playoffs. What do you think about their roster going into the off season?
Their roster. I mean, there's not really much I guess you can do. I still think the semi has potential. As we saw, I mean, we saw with last off season, he was like dominating team. I just think maybe this season just the build wasn't it.
Yeah, it's possible to be so. You look good in testing, but
Uh,
yeah, as you said, it's been quite the struggle.
I will say the person I think might potentially need change, and I know a lot of people have kind of said that he might need change, might not. 17. It might be time to hang up a little some of his build. Not saying that you need to hang up the whole build.
Yeah,
But
what's 17 without Super Plus 2?
Yeah, but I mean, like, if he's not doing supers, what's he doing at this
Yeah.
point?
Yeah, it was been a struggle for both of them. How about Cold? Cold's guaranteed not to get the bye week, but they guaranteed playoffs.
They
What do
are
you think
they
about
are
them?
honestly, just the biggest factor here is like I think a big thing is like are they going to bring in Devilman or not? I think that was just going to depend on who they're against.
Yeah,
And really it's more of can Frieza keep up with all the other like top characters? I know either his first form does really good and his transformation don't, or his first form does really bad and his transformation good. Can Cooler be consistent? I know
yeah, he's been
has been a want for them.
yeah. The only true consistent characters they've had this season for Cold is the Friezas, base Frieza and Mecha Frieza.
Honestly, King Vegeta's been kind of came back.
He's been all right, but he by consistent he's mostly done around 35 to 40K each match, which isn't bad, but you know.
I mean, but it's kind of what they expect from him. At least, so he's doing what they're kind of expecting him to do.
Yeah, but it's the biggest trouble for Cold has been Zarbon and Cooler just been wildly inconsistent the entire season. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Cole gets together. They're definitely a strong roster, especially with base Frieza hacks and Mecha Frieza actually being a very strong character this season, which isn't usually par for the course for them. So, but you ready to move on to our final match?
Yeah.
I'll let you take the wheel on this one.
Oh, joy. I mean, there's not really much to say about this match. Really, the starting did not go how we kind of thought of Frost just kind of demolished Fasha. And I don't mean like demolished as in, well, that he just kind of washed her without taking much health. And then he did the same to Gogeta, but unlike, Fasha, Gogeta actually got a tag off. I think the saddest thing here is Frost at like the last part of his yellow bar did tag. And then Doria came in and Vegito came. Vegito actually did really well against Doria. But after he took out Doria, Vegito kind of dropped the ball versus the 21.
Yeah.
And then, Jane came in, dealt with 21. And it actually seemed like my team was going to at least probably pull out a comeback because, like, Jane was still really high health. We had to go cheat in the back against Salsa and the rest of Frost. So we actually weren't as far behind as one would think after that starting performance.
Yeah, because Janemba brought it back when he was still high health.
Yeah, and then Salsa came in.
Yep, and Jane didn't do much.
I'm pretty sure I can count the amount of holes that were left in Jane after that match. From all those scatter fingers.
Yep. Yeah, it was a very complete win for Derp because each of their characters all performed over 40k, and all of them look solid.
I actually wouldn't say it was really that, like, as complete as one would think, though, because, like, even after Jane, like, kind of dropped the ball a little bit versus Salsa, Gogeta came in and actually was doing pretty well for a while on his last bar. And he's on a tank build, remember? So, like, if he gets to stay alive, he will actually do stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm not disregarding that. The match was pretty close. It was only about 3-bar difference. But I'm more saying that each of their Cinema is a tough opponent this week. Derp's characters.
Derp did all their characters.
Yeah. Yeah, all of Derp's members look solid. While in contrast, some of Cinema's characters did look a little weaker. Like Vegito, after beating Dodoria, he kind of just went, nowhere.
And then obviously, Foster dropping the ball a
Yeah.
little bit.
But yeah, it was a fun week.
Yeah. And this was also basically also if Sentai already won at this point their match. This was basically who was going to be the one to try to contest Sentai.
Yep.
Because both of these teams won versus Sentai in their div, and they'd still both be behind Sentai, but at least then Sentai wouldn't be scot-free. Unless they win, and one team doesn't win. But yeah, no, like, I think in terms of a final match for it may have started off not great for, my team. But it did end. It did end really close, and I'm going to hand it off to you. I want to hear your thoughts first. What do you think about playoff chance? Playoffs for both in?
So this is Cinema's first ever playoffs, right?
Second.
Or is it the second? Second.
Our first one was because actually Derp went like 0-14.
So second.
This is our first one in like 3 to 4 years though.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely deserved. Cinema has looked like a better team that this season. A very complete team, honestly. I mean, Fasha has kind of been a revelation on Chase Down Artists. Struggled this week, but like definitely a scary character. Gogeta on tank, sometimes not great, but a lot of the time there is a threat there, and Gogeta does serve a very good purpose. And the reason why I think you're probably scarier now than you were starting the season is because it seems like you kind of found footing with Janemba, which is something you didn't have going into the season. So yeah, Cinema's definitely a scary team. There's not a bad character on your roster.
Our, ba-
So
our bad character would either be the guy on the FA bench or it's our FA.
yeah, so it's not really a weak point on this roster. So pretty strong. As for Derp, Derp has also usually been on the outside, but really, Frost has been also kind of been a revelation for them. But the real kind of unsung hero has been Dodoria. The Doria this past, I don't know, maybe month or so has been just 50K, 60K, 50K, 70K. He's just putting in work, and the tags have been great. The usage of like, I don't know what it is with Dodoria, but he only uses the good B2s and ultimates, right? He never uses like the mouth beam that always misses. It's either you're getting a head breaker or you're getting a his maximum bust. Yeah. So yeah, he's been really strong, and same as your roster, there really isn't too much of a weak point. Their closest is Yamcha, but he's only averaging he's averaging 35,000, which isn't the worst. And all their other characters have Android 21's a little inconsistent, but all their characters have looked pretty good on a week to week basis.
You'd say like their weakest, well, their character with the least stats, or their FA.
Yeah,
that hasn't
but
been
it's
the entire season.
yeah, but it's definitely not like there's definitely other weak characters in the league. It's definitely not like you both have pretty complete rosters, so it'd definitely be scary to see you guys in a round one. That's not gonna be an easy match because I'd imagine both of your rosters 5-mans will be pretty strong. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that's my thoughts on their stuff.
Well, I will say we don't currently have plans for playoffs since we go on more of a week to week basis. But I definitely will say, just like all these teams that are in playoffs, the field definitely changes when there's a fifth person added.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's why Muscle's winning it all.
That's why Muscle
just
is always scary in playoffs. Their
Yep.
4-man might not be the best, but their 5-man, something else.
Yeah, especially with Android 13 and a 5-man. For whatever reason, playoff 13 is just an animal.
Yes, onto tier list.
Yeah.
We're a little over an hour
Oh, cool. So yeah, here's the tier list, and what do you think about the tier list?
Really, everyone like there is like I think it's fine. It's really the last 2 rows of this right tier list that is concerning.
Oh yeah.
Because you have 18 at the very bottom, and then you have SJ to Goku, Super 17, Future Gohan, Powder Vegeta, King Piccolo, and Tambourine down there, along with Cell Jr., who's it hasn't been like the best character for Rugrats, but it's been an okay character. Like, there's not much worse that you can get than those last 2 rows.
Yeah, it's been a tough week for a lot of strong characters. With that, you ready to move the predictions with our first match?
Yep.
So for match 1, we got RW versus Derp. If the spreadsheet was updated, we could have confirmed benches for you, but
I assume that it's going to be Yamcha for Derp. That's going.
Didn't Yamcha is in, yes. I think for Derp, their bench is Dodoria. I'm pretty sure. But anyway.
Dodoria or Swin, but anyway. Honestly, I think I'm gonna have to give it to Derp, Not only just because they are basically coming off of like a solid win from the previous week, but RW is probably also in a little bit of a testing mode right now. And Derp really needs to win to try to contest Sentai for the bye week, which will also be reliant on, the sixth man, but we'll get to that later. So yeah, my vote's Derp.
I definitely agree. Definitely more Derp has more to fight for, and so with RW testing, it's very you can't really predict how they're gonna look going into the match. So the safe bet is definitely Derp. Match 2 is Muscle versus Cole.
Racoon's coming in and Fuller's coming in. And
Oh,
I remember that I believe it was Starbomb that needed, because Fuller was benched last week, benched the week before, which was the last time when we talked about benches on the two of us.
yeah. So you said Raccoon's coming back, and it might be Broly. I'm pretty sure it's Broly that's benched for Muscle.
You can kind of tell with who left if you remember the last two.
Yeah, so I think it definitely is Broly for Muscle. With that information, who you got?
I would say this is actually going to be a really close one. Oh wait, no, I remember it had to be Zarbon because they were going to do the whole Raccoon and Zarbon. Also wanted to do the whole Raccoon and Zarbon start, but they couldn't because Zarbon was getting out.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I might give it to Muscle here. Not because of the whole 7-8 thing, but because of like, with Cold, it really depends on what version of what character on that specific day that you're going to get. While Muscle recently has been a lot more consistent with basically everybody except Bojack.
Yeah. This is going to be a interesting week because both teams aren't really fighting for anything. So maybe they try some testing stuff.
Yeah, like Cold can't get the bye week, and Muscle's already got the last playoff spot. So basically, I think at this point they're just fighting for whether who gets home map or not for playoffs. If that's how
If
that works.
that, yeah.
But that's really it.
Yeah, but so interesting to see. I'll probably go with Muscle too. They've definitely looked like the better team in the later half of the season than Cold.
Yeah.
Cold has kind of had the same struggles the entirety of Northkai had since All Star break. Like if you look at all of Northkai's matches post All Star break, I think there was like 3 or 4 separate weeks we all lost. So they kind of also been struggling. So yeah, I'd give it a Muscle.
That's 2-0 for Muscle. Next we have Kaiju and Androids. Android's already guaranteed out, so it's probably going to be testing. 16 is coming back in, and I believe it's 19. Either it's 19 or it's Tao, because Cell and 17 were already all bench.
Yeah.
And Kaiju has Kid Q coming back in, and I, for the life of me, actually can't are having out. But I think both teams are probably going to go in a little bit of testing territory, especially since Android's already out. Just try to get it done when you can.
Kaiju won't go into testing. They're fighting for bye.
Oh yeah. I mean, they might with like one person. That's only a scout of G, like not out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I'm gonna have to give it to Kaiju still, because like with Kid Q coming back in, and if neither Bardock nor Tao have to be out, that's a really solid 3-man. And you're not going to have the downside of either Slug or Scouter potentially. That's how their benches are. Not to say Slug hasn't been too bad. It's just some of these weeks he is just not been performing. But I would say Kaiju.
Yeah. Before going into my prediction, I would just want to shout out the Kaiju and Androids teams, because this matchup has a lot of history. These two teams have been in the same division for a long time. This is like one of the few seasons they haven't. Like, so
Yeah.
there's, I remember a lot of Androids and Kaiju matches going down in infamy.
And a lot of it because Perfect Cell has beat the shit out of Nappa.
Yeah, but definitely intrigued. I actually will give it to Android just because I think the Kaiju Androids semi-rivalry holds stronger than need for playoffs. This is the real battle through the Tenkaichi Bowl. Kaiju Androids, I need to see who wins that this year.
You know what? Fair. And you know what? For this type of match, for it being 1-1, that's next we have our two R's. Rugrats and Royals. Royals probably is going to be in testing. They're a top seed already. They're guaranteed by, like, what else they got to do? Rugrats, just like the last match, are basically fighting for the bye week. So, and we have O'Reilly coming back in and Majin Vegeta.
Yeah, this is a tough week to predict just because of Majin Vegeta coming back in.
I'm actually going to say it's really close, no matter who. But I'm going to give it to Rugrats just because, like, they really need the win. They want to make bye week. And I feel like they're going to be, like, trying a lot harder for this Royals win. Because Royals is already, guaranteed in by guaranteed top seed.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be close because Dabura's forced in and Majin Vegeta's coming back, so it's definitely not going to be an easy fight no matter what for Rugrats. But I still can see Rugrats pulling out, so I'll give them my vote.
All right, go for Rugrats. Next we have Namek and Saga. God, we have so many fight for the bye week back to back to back. Buu Saga is literally fighting for their, like, I wouldn't say their playoff life here, but their bye week life here, because they have one road to get the bye week, and if any other road happens, it's gone.
Yep, they need this win for sure, and it's before our match, so they need this win before they're seeing ours.
Obviously, Namek might be testing and all that, but and Kid Buu's coming back in with Noelva coming back. So I wouldn't say it's not probably going to be hard fought, because, like, for all we know, Namek could pull something out of their ass. But, like, Buu Saga really needs to win, so I'm going to say Buu Saga.
Yeah, I also think Buu Saga. I think out of everyone else in North Kai, they've looked the best post All-Star break and have recovered a bit. Namek has kind of been wildly inconsistent, and yeah, I'd maybe pull something out of our ass. I don't know what they're gonna do, but yeah, I definitely can see the odds favor Buu Saga.
Yeah, now we have another match that determines whether someone might get a bye week or not.
Yeah, GT and Sentai.
So maybe not, depending on how the first match goes. Yeah, so we have GT and Sentai. Jiren is guaranteed out. Jiren was, like, the only character who had to get guaranteed benched. So that's really good for GT chances, I'd say, because Jiren is a really, really strong character after you have to already fight Burger and Ultimate Gohan, or fighting Jiren before either of them. And Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is coming back in, so it's one of their maybe not super consistent characters, but has been one of their better looking
Yeah. I'll probably give the match to GT. Jiren bench is pretty brutal, and I think GT will definitely look at this week not as an unimportant week because they can't fight for the bye, but more of a trying to pivot week because they've been on such a skid lately that it would be nice to have a win carrying them over into playoffs because if the losing streak continues, where do you go from there?
This is
So yeah, I'd probably go GT.
also, this is also basically like the last time GT gonna be able to like maybe try anything out, which maybe isn't the best for Sentai, but I mean, Sentai's a strong team. So if you want to make sure something works, Sentai is probably a team to do it again.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's a great week to do it though, since GT doesn't have too much riding on it. They can definitely start,
It's just more, and like if GT takes it, that lessens Sentai's chance unless Derp already lost.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going GT.
Yep. Next we have holy goddamn shit. We have ED and hybrids. And do you want to say anything before we?
Yeah, I got both benches. I got the benches for both teams, and I got my roster.
All right.
We know hybrids are benching future Gohan.
Mm-hmm.
And we are benching Midku, and our lineup is Krillin because we aren't really afraid of Sandman starting. Then it's Herc, then Tien, and then our crowd favorites coming back in Ultra Ego Mid Vegeta, who single-handedly killed Cold that one match, our divisional. So yeah, he's making a return. We really want this win. We want the bye week, but going into this week, especially against hybrids, I'm not really that confident. So I'll give the win to my team, but I'm more than understanding if people don't think so.
Just remember, there's also banking on the fact of Buu Saga wins, and if they don't, you basically have nothing to worry about.
That's true.
And we know Sword Trunks is coming back in, who's actually a really strong character for hybrids. Honestly, I'd say this is much closer than I had initially thought. Primarily just because, like, yeah, you may not be scared to say it, man, and team might not be the best, but Sword Trunks and Adult Gohan can certainly mess up teams on their own. So.
Yep.
You do have your like recently most inconsistent character out though, but you.
Yeah, he tried to drop the ball against GT. So yeah, we tried to plan it around setting up. We were kind of in trouble when both of our Super Saiyans were the last 2 weeks. Especially we needed that win against Sentai week 13 and didn't get it. So yeah, now we're just trying to give us the best shot to secure the bye.
All right.
So where are you going? You said it was close. Who are you voting for?
I'm gonna have to say your team because I think you have more consistent members. But you also can't deny the burst that hybrids can put out.
No, that's why our lineup is a certain way to try to deny that burst. Excuse me.
Just you going to your own team? Or
yep. Yeah, it's 2-0.
Go ED. And finally, a match that doesn't mean that much. Not saying it doesn't. Like, obviously, like, Zenny for next season, obviously, yada yada. But like, it's not a match for the bye week. It's not a match to get out. It's not a match to like secure anything. It's Cinema, my team, and Budokai. Also, I just realized I'm literally the last match 2 weeks in a row. Fun.
Yeah.
I will. Obviously, we're benching Vegito. Then we are starting Janemba with Aura Change Red that he had like a while ago. But we're doing a 1-point Broly's ring on him over Savior because we want to see how he does outside of not having big form, especially since he's on a melee build. And if we're going to try him as a starter, we don't really want him to be giant, like, and just be a bit slower. Even though giant definitely hurts. Next we have Garlic. Defense +2, attack -1. Plays over defense +2, so we can have Savior on. Gogeta is basically running the same build. It's just different AI of Vegeta AI, which actually is old AI from earlier in the season. And then what is it? Fasha is running her same build with Majin Buu AI.
Do you know Budokai's bench?
I am pretty sure about it in my it's been hard to figure out a little bit because sometimes they've been writing down the same benches, putting the person in the lineup. I am I'm pretty sure it's early Goku. That has to be out.
That makes sense because I think early Piccolo was out last week. And
early Piccolo was out last week, and GT Goku was out the week before. And I think those were the last three that needed.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. Budokai's hard to read. I think they beat me this season. And it wasn't a match that people had them beating ED going into. So yeah, definitely don't look past Budokai. They can mess you up.
It's not that we're looking past them. It's just there's nothing really riding on this match. So we basically went into this match with more of a testing to try to work out things for characters.
No, that's fair enough. That's a good way to approach it. I'm more thinking about my own thought process on how I would predict this match because honestly, I think this match can go either way. I'll probably give it a cinema because they've looked like the better team, but I would not count Budokai out.
Yeah, I'm not counting them out at all. But with that, obviously it's 2-0 to my team. But with that, we have reached the end of the Capsule Cast. And so thank you everyone watching, and sure to check out the link to the Discord, website, Twitter, and TikTok below. Comment for improvement better the cast. Don't forget to hit the like button if you like the video, subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. We're still working on trying to get more people maybe into it, with SparkingZero coming out soon, very soon actually. We might be trying to do something on that. You never know. But with that, I've been Destiny.
And I've been Macho.
Time. Bye-bye.
See ya.